Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Beaches Watch June meeting. It's 7 o'clock, so we are going to get started. Tonight we are very happy to have our mayors here to give us a legislative update on what happened in the 2019 or 2020 legislative session. And we'll have Jacksonville Beach Mayor Charlie Latham give us the legislative update, and he will be followed by Neptune Beach Mayor Elaine Brown, who will give her update on the COVID-19 and its effects on the Neptune Beach community, as well as Atlantic Beach Mayor Ellen Glasser, and she will also be giving a similar update on the effects of the effects of Atlantic Beach. I'm Maria Mark. I'm president of the Beaches Watch, and I'm happy to be here to host our meeting via Zoom. It seems to be the new normal. And my contact with Teresa Poole, who is the library director for our Neptune Beach Library or Beaches Library, it seems like this may be our new reality for the next probably few months. So happy you can join us, and we look forward to an informative meeting as usual. Before we get started, I always like to make some announcements. As you know, we are recording this, and it will be available on our website tomorrow via our YouTube. The agenda is on the screen, right? Maybe the agenda. Okay, so as always, we're always encouraging our to grow our membership. So if you have you not renewed your membership for 2020, we encourage you to do that tonight.
Maria,
Yeah.
can you go over the instructions for the Zoom participants real quick?
Oh, okay. Sorry. So all audio and video for participant use will automatically be muted. So if you're connected through a computer or mobile device utilizing the Zoom app, you may use the chat box to enter any questions or comments at any time. To access the chat box, either hover your mouse at the bottom of the Zoom meeting screen, or if you have touch screen capabilities, simply touch the bottom of the Zoom meeting screen and the chat icon will appear. For anyone dialing in via phone, the chat feature will not be accessible. You'll only have the ability to listen during the meeting. We will be monitoring the chat box for questions for Q&A following the presentations. If you have any questions or technical issues, please text to 904-333-5101. Okay, thank you. We appreciate your patience and understanding as we are still working through this new way for all of us to communicate. So thank you for participating and for your support. Okay, on to the announcements. Sorry, I was jumping ahead here. As I was saying, this meeting will also be recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, which you can see on the announcements there. As always, we are striving to grow our membership. And so if you have not renewed for 2020, we encourage you to do that tonight, tomorrow. You can do that online at our website. If you have not joined as a member, we encourage you to think about joining as a member, as your membership dues goes to support our efforts that we for our give back to the community, such as the scholarship award, the scholarship recipient, and our give back award. So it's only $15 for individual, $20 for family, and $5 for students. And speaking about our scholarship award, we're happy to announce that the 2020 Flange Memorial Scholarship recipient is Jack Rowan. Jack has been just an avid community supporter. He's also been a big supporter of the Beaches Watch, attending meetings. You may have seen his columns to the letters to the editor and the Beaches Leader. So he has been very active in the community. And his essay We were very impressed with his essay, as he had really put a lot of thought into it, a lot of research. He had gone in so much as, interviewing with the different city managers. His theme was about fishing line and the dangers of what that does to the marine life, and so he really put a lot of thought into it, and we see Jack as being hopefully one of our future community leaders. So congratulations to Jack Rowan. He received a $1,000 scholarship. Shout out to our organization, Beaches Watch, Folio Weekly. We were nominated as the 2020 Best of the Beaches, Best Nonprofit Organization. So thank you to everyone who voted for Beaches Watch. We really appreciate it. We're honored with that award. Shout out to our 2020 Home Rule Heroes, Mayor Charlie Latham, Mayor Ellen Glasser, and City Councilwoman Sandy Golding. And this is really, this is an award that is bestowed from the Florida League of Cities. It is something that, is coveted by our elected officials who are nominated and selected. And big shout out to Councilwoman Sandy Golding, since she is, the freshman of this group, and to be nominated and to be awarded this is really something. So congratulations to all three. Thank you. So we have our 2020 Beaches elections coming up. As you can see, the qualifying dates for Jacksonville Beach and Neptune Beach are Monday, June 8th at noon through Friday, June 12th at noon. And you can see which candidates have already filed. We have some who are running unopposed. So, this is a time that we really, seek out our best leaders in the community, and really encourage you to think about, putting your name in the hat and stepping up, because that, we really need people who are involved and who care about what's happening here in the beaches community. Atlantic Beach candidate qualifying is a little later. It's Monday, August 24th through Friday, August 28th. As you can see, we have candidates already filed. One seat's unopposed, seat 2, and then seat 3, we have no filed candidates at this time. So again, we highly encourage you to think about, stepping up and being a leader in your community. Just a couple of other announcements that we have coming up. We have our Oats planting project in Jacksonville Beach. This is going to be Saturday, June 20th at 9 a.m. This is organized by the Fletcher Marine Coastal Science Club. It will be at the Beach Boulevard Access. And kudos to our board member, Coach Kevin Brown, who heads up the club and is leading this effort. So if you want to see how to plant these sea oats and what they really do to preserve our beaches and our dunes, this would be a great time to really get in there and do some hands-on. To get information about reopening of the beaches, businesses, and nonprofits, you can go to the website, www.beaches2.com for those latest updates. Atlantic Beach has started what's called the Socially Distanced Food Truck Roundup. This is on Saturdays from 11 to 3, and it's located at 1800 Mayport Road. So, get out, go out there and have some lunch and socially distance with some friends and reconnect and support, support our local food trucks. The Beaches Green Market is held Saturdays from 10 to 2. This is in the Atlantic Beach City Hall parking lot. So again, it's a time to get out and support our local farmers and purveyors, and really get fresh vegetables and really support like I said, our local economy. Again, they have the midweek market, which is on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, that's at the Atlantic Beach City Hall parking lot. And we encourage you to get out then. So our upcoming Beaches Watch meeting, again, will most likely be via Zoom. It's scheduled for July 8th, and the topic will be our Beaches Police Panel, where we'll have our police chiefs from Atlantic Beach, Chief Bolillo, Jax Beach, Chief Smith, and Neptune Beach, Chief Pike. So mark a calendar to plan to attend for that meeting as well. Okay, I think that is it for announcements. So we will go ahead and start with Jacksonville Beach Mayor Charlie Latham for the legislative update. I see Kevin Hogenkamp is on here. Is that something?
Hello.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Great. Go ahead, Charlie. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to start the timer for 13 minutes, and you have about a minute and a half. I'll come back on video just to let you know that it's about time to wrap it up. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Maria, and thanks to Beaches Watch for giving us an opportunity to come in and talk a little bit about what's happening in the beaches and what's happening in the legislature. As Maria said, I'm Charlie Latham, Jacksonville Beach Mayor for at least another 174 days. I'll be terming out this November, and it's been a great honor to work with you guys every year on all these events, so thank you for that. I'm going to talk primarily about three things today. Excuse me. There's a lot of legislation that's passed. There's a lot of legislation on the governor's desk. Sorry, I should have brought some water in here. I'm sorry. Several bills have come before the governor already. Some have not. And the impact of the coronavirus on the legislature has been pretty significant and never more evident than right now, when the governor's got all these hundreds of bills to sign and they're being withheld and basically reprioritized by the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate. Can you hear me okay, Maria?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
It looked like a picture was frozen. I just want to make sure I wasn't talking to myself.
Yeah.
So the three things I want to talk about today, primarily in my time, is the budget. I want to talk a little bit about home rule again. We talk about it every year, but it's imperative that we continue to talk about it. And then I want to talk about short-term rentals. And if we have some time, there are a few more bills that we can talk about. But it's it's never a dull moment in Tallahassee. The budget this year has been put on pause by the governor. In other words, he's not going to receive it yet because he has a limited period of time that he can review the budget and make his line item vetoes. And the budget right now is $93.2 billion. And it needs to be cut dramatically because of CONUS and the COVIS and the expenses associated with the virus. State revenue was off $878.1 million in April from an earlier estimate, because tourism and hospitality related industries, along with car sales, were grounded by the coronavirus. And a monthly revenue report from the Legislative Office of Economic and Demographic Research reflects economic damage caused by the pandemic and the effects of the stay-at-home order on state revenues and tax revenues. Once received by the governor, he'll have 15 days to line item veto some spending. The governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate have all expressed that there is no desire to hold a special session to redo the budget. So the governor's got a hefty task ahead of him. He's got until June 30th, since the budget year begins, the fiscal year begins in the state in July 1. You guys have heard us talk about home rule over and over again, and you're probably getting a little tired of it, but I'm going to continue to pound my chest in this last 6 months of public service. Back in 1968, during the year of consolidation, there was also a Constitution Revision Commission meeting. And those happen every 20 years, and the public basically gets to come and give input to the board members, and then it goes before the legislature, and they decide what they're going to invoke as a potential amendment. And in 1968, home rule came up. It went through the Constitution Revision Commission, passed overwhelmingly through the legislature, and passed overwhelmingly through constituents through the election process. And in 1973, the Home Rule Powers Act was created. That gives us a lot of flexibility. It gives us the ability to make local decisions. It gives us the ability to self-govern, and it gives us the ability to have citizens-centered solutions instead of state-centered solutions. Why it's important is it's pretty evident. We're fortunate in our area that we've got two good legislators in Cord Bird and Aaron Bean, and both have taken good care of us. But around the state, we're being overrun by these eager legislators who are trying desperately to take away all our local power. And it's been a very frustrating situation. I know that Ellen Glasser and I have kind of been arm in arm in front of as many committee meetings as we get a hold of, because they want to continue to preempt us. There's pre-exemptions that, for example, guns was done several years ago, where local governments can't get involved with guns or anything. The state sets rules. The rules can't be violated by local government. If we are in any way a hindrance to people who are carrying guns to or from hunting or fishing activities, we can be personally fined $5,000, and we can't use our city attorney to defend us. And that's the kind of madness that comes out of these attacks on home rule. There's a couple of bill issues that are basically similar type of legislation where they're asking us to spend resources to fit their need. The other thing about the violation of home rule and these preemptions is they continue to put out, one of them was short-term rentals, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. They try to do a one-size-fits-all situation. So here in Jacksonville Beach, we've had short-term rentals for decades east of 3rd Street, and there's never been a problem. Our biggest concern, my biggest concern, and I know our citizens that have reached out and talked to me's biggest concerns, isn't the condos on the beach. It's not the small houses up near the ocean. It's the corporations that are coming into neighborhoods and buying homes and basically turning them into hotels. And if the Florida legislature has its way, there's nothing we can do to stop that. Zoning doesn't come into play locally, and we don't have the ability to keep a business, a significant business, out of the residential markets. So I've been very, very heavily engaged in the short-term rental battle. As a matter of fact, I attended every single committee meeting for the Senate and the House last year, and was very vocal against the House Bill 1011, which is Jason Fisher, one of our own local elected officials, representative from Jacksonville, and Senator Diaz sponsored Senate Bill 1128. So, this again is it's creating a situation where they're trying to take away our ability to make local decisions, do the right thing for our citizens, and enforce our own rules locally. When the state sets rules and then they have to use their own agencies that are already overworked, and there aren't enough resources available to truly inspect these short-term rentals, we get into a lot of trouble. As just an example, our last rounds of inspections that we did for short-term rentals with our fire marshal, there were several incidences of staircases without handles, fire detectors that had been removed, wires exposed, all kinds of things like that the state is supposed to come in if this bill had passed last year, or I should say this year, the last session. But fortunately, we were able to get it TP'd or temporarily postponed, and the bill died again for another year. Here's what you need to understand. I'm not going to be there fighting next year. I'm going to be no longer serving as Jacksonville Beach mayor. So you guys need to pick up the mantle. I know Sandy Golding's off to a great start. As Maria said, she's a fellow recipient of the Hometown Hero Award. This is going to be a never-ending fight until we get this resolved completely and take control again of a situation that the state has no business at all being involved in. A couple of other examples of some of the legislation. How am I doing on time, Maria?
You're doing great, Charlie. You got, so 4 minutes, 20 seconds.
Okay, perfect. Some of the other bills that are coming up that were actually signed and went to the governor, and this is how unbelievable this is to me. One of them is Senate Bill 172 called the Sunscreen Act. And basically what it does is it preempts, again, the regulation of over-the-counter proprietary drugs or cosmetics, which includes sunscreen, to the state. So basically what that means is that the local governments can't regulate the sale of sunscreens without certain with certain chemicals in them. This bill will become effective when signed into law. The governor hasn't received the bill yet. So that's one example of non-funded mandates that just are really difficult for us to swallow. That was one that was directed primarily to the Florida Keys, but it also has an impact on all the coastal communities, as does the short-term rentals. Let me just take a second and regress since I have a few minutes left. Short-term rentals, I'm told they're in 15 counties. And so it's really not that big a deal to the majority of the Senate and the House because the members aren't impacted by it. So the lobbyists for the short-term rental companies have been coming full blast to all these non-coastal community leaders, these legislators, and getting them on board to support this bill. Most of the legislators, both from the House and the Senate, stand in support of their citizens and are trying to keep regulatory enforcement of short-term rentals with the cities locally and not with the state. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. It's going to be a fight every single year without question or hesitation. Another goofy one, electric bicycles, House Bill 971. This creates a regulation governing the operation of e-bikes and provides that an e-bike or an operator of an e-bike must be afforded all the rights and privileges of a bicycle. The bill authorizes an e-bike to operate where bicycles, excuse me, are currently allowed, including but not limited to streets, highways, roads, shoulders, and bicycle lanes. Why in the world is the state getting involved in that? I don't have any idea. It's just like the scooters. That's going to be coming up next. I don't know if you guys have gone to cities where in Florida where they have these scooters that they're just almost disposable. You have an account with them, you scan a card, you jump on a scooter, and you ride where you want to go. But what they don't tell you is at night, there's thousands of these scooters laying all over your city, and it looks absolutely horrible. Uber, well, let's save that one. Here's one of interest, fireworks. Senate Bill 140, it creates an exemption allowing use for fireworks on 3 days each year. That's New Year's Day, January 1st, Independence Day, July 4th, and New Year's Eve, December 31st. So the bill takes effect upon becoming law, and it'll allow basically fireworks that go in the air and report or give a bang 3 days a year, where it's currently illegal. And again, here's the state telling us what we can do in Jacksonville Beach, or Atlantic Beach or Neptune Beach. It may not be exactly what you're looking to do. I know my wife's not happy because our animals go crazy when people around us are shooting off fireworks. How am I doing, Maria?
Mm-hmm. Got about 27 seconds. So you can wrap it up. And
yeah, I'm not going to go through any more little bills. I'm just going to tell you once again how I've been honored for the last 7.5 years to serve as the mayor of Jacksonville Beach. It's been a privilege to take the battle to Tallahassee. We've got some good people in our legislature that I think are well-intended, have good intentions, but we've got some folks that are driven by lobbyists, and we've got to sniff them out and we've got to call them out. So we'll keep doing that and do the best we can as the city. And Sandy, I'm sure she'll be carrying the mantle, at least part of the mantle next year, next session. Next session will be in March. And we'll just take it as it goes. So that's all I have until questions, I guess.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much. I really appreciate the update. I know it was kind of a quick down and dirty, but well, we appreciate that, and I'm sure we'll have some questions, you know, for you later. So with that, we will now introduce Mayor Elaine Brown from Neptune Beach, and she is going to give us an update on the COVID-19 and the effects of, well, the effects of Neptune Beach and impact. So, Mayor, you're ready to go. And as I mentioned, I don't know if you were online yet. About 1 minute. We have about 1 minute left. I will reappear to let you know that it's kind of time to start winding things down. Okay?
Okay. We there?
You're ready.
Yep, you're good.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Maria, thank you so much. Beaches Watch, great organization that we continue to just appreciate so much in this community. I have nothing but good things to say about how great our community has done through COVID. And I want to start out, though, by saying I cannot let this go, how wonderful and amazing it has been to work with both Mayor Latham and with Mayor Glasser. I cannot tell you that going through this was so new to all of us. There was no rule book that said, what do you do in a pandemic? And having two mayors that we talked daily for many, many days on end, and we dealt very, very well with Mayor Curry. Mayor Curry, when we first started, we were down at the Emergency Operations Center together, and then, of course, all of that came to a halt, and we started doing the Zoom meetings. But the Three Beaches mayors stayed together. We discussed many, many different aspects that were going on, that the emergency orders were coming down to us on, and how we would make sure that our community stayed together, worked together, worked hard together. And Mayor Latham, what a pleasure it has always been to work with you. And you are going to certainly be missed. You're not out of here yet, so we got a lot more work to do. And we're still in the middle of this pandemic, maybe, who knows. But working with the mayors, working so closely with Mayor Glasser and Mayor Latham and Mayor Curry has really, really been a great asset to all of our communities. You know, this is, I've been asked to talk about the pandemic and what COVID has done. And I have to say that a lot of this started, and I'm going to reach back and say to Sandy Golding, we were together on March 13th, and we were meeting with Councilman Matt Carlucci. And when we were meeting with him, it was still one of those things where we were saying, oh, yeah, let's touch elbows, haha. You know, what's going on here that, you know, that's not going to touch us, or, you know, it wasn't, the reality wasn't really here. We were hearing it. It was frightening to hear, but I can assure you that on that day, and Sandy, Matt Carlucci, myself, and some others were in a meeting, and it all started happening. And by Monday, and the 16th, 17th, leading up to the 20th, it was popping everywhere. We were in the Emergency Operations Center together. The mayors were. We had certainly an awful lot that was being said about the health department, how we were going to work with the health department, and how we as cities were going to govern, just to even govern. So I'm going to say that the virtual meetings was one of the best things that the governor allowed us to do, and that actually happened. Again, a lot of things happened around the 20th. It was leading up to it, to that point that we knew what was coming. We were in the loop with other cities, certainly with the governor, and certainly with Mayor Curry. And here we were, and all of a sudden things started closing. It started getting real, if you would. We were allowed to have the virtual meetings, and that actually was given to us on the 17th. That was good planning on the part of the governor and governments, so that we could indeed carry on the business of the cities as we needed to do. And we then had the beaches closing. And I'll tell you that, I know the other mayors will agree with me, that just making those decisions and coming together. We were strong. We were together. We needed to make sure that our residents were protected. And looking at what could have happened, what spring break looked like, et cetera, we knew we were doing the right thing. And all of this was again happening right around the 20th. Alcohol sales, all of a sudden, here we had alcohol sales ending at 8 p.m. We were seeing the end of really life as we knew it. And we were adapting, and adapting very well, I might add, because again, I'm going to go back and say the beaches communities have been wonderful in making sure that they did what was good for themselves, for their neighbors, and for each other. I mean, watching out for each other has been, I think, one of the most profound things that I've been able to see and appreciate by everybody. But here we were now into the 20th. We were seeing so many differences that were coming to us. But we're going to tell you a little bit about the economic impact of what happens to a city and what we were looking at, and to this moment, and I'll share with you that, to this moment, we are still dealing with a lot of this and will for an awful long time. 32% of our utility customers are delinquent with their utility bills. I mean, there are people out there that are hurting still. There are people that have lost jobs. We're working with our residents. Every city is trying to do their best that they can work with them. The cost of these delinquent bills, about $261,000. Looking at that, you can see that this cost is something that is real, is very real to a city like Neptune Beach and so many other smaller cities. The deficit statewide, when you look at a deficit of $675.7 million just in sales taxes, and you bring it down to even our city and the sales taxes and the revenue that we have lost, it has an impact on us, and it will in the future. And, you know, when we say, I want you to look at that 125,000 estimated cost of COVID-19 related to equipment and personnel. We had to send people home. Some had to have computers. We had to buy masks. We had to buy equipment that would keep our police, our employees safer. And really and truly, when you're looking at that 125,000, that was actually a number that is continuing to go up. And it actually had to do with even our police department and doing some retrofitting that we needed to do. You know, and the unemployment rate, to really even say that in 2020, the unemployment rate is at 11.3. That's a 377% increase from April of 2019, where we were just last year. So businesses closed, people lost jobs, people are suffering, cities are suffering, and this is not over. This is something that is going to be continuing, and we'll be dealing with it for a long time to come. I'm going to show you another slide now, and I want you to know that having the ability to actually talk to our business owners, talk to our residents. I've been calling residents throughout all of this, checking on them, see how they're doing. But we've also had a lot of great conversations with, and sad conversations with the businesses that have been here. Just engaging the residents and businesses in new ways. Well, that, of course, has been having virtual council meetings, having Zoom meetings. I'm here tonight with our city manager, Stephen Nguyen, and Stephen landed in the area and was like just weeks away. Here he was into a pandemic and having to really adjust to all of the technology that we had to immediately get so that we could communicate, so that we could be a part of what we needed to continue business. Stephen, and I don't know how many meetings you had, Stephen, but I know that you were having a lot of employee meetings daily, sometimes 5, 7, and more. That, you know, we have our police department, and all the meetings that they had to conduct with you and with other employees. And it was really something that, and to this moment, it's still going on. It is still going on. You know, we have suspended leases with water and shut-offs and delinquent with some of our businesses. That's a cost right now, and about $261,000. We ordered hand sanitizer to pass out, and I'm going to tell you something. There were neighborhoods and neighbors that appreciated it so much. And to this day, we still have some, by the way. And if you're running out or can't get any, I'm going to, really say to you, please come by. We'd love to help anyone that we can. We have some hand sanitizers, but we were able to purchase some and get it out to our citizens, and it was really greatly appreciated. We did it on the side of the road out here in the back with a table outside, our masks on, and people drove through and actually picked up the hand sanitizers for their homes and for their families. We've been certainly passing policies that have protected our employees as well as our residents, such as the working from home policies and buying the appropriate masks that they needed and masks that have been needed all through all of this. I'd like to say that the executive orders from the state and the country, and the county, there have been 30 of them. With that, we had to, as a city, put out our own emergency orders, work with the other two beach mayors, and with what we were doing here at the beach. But we are now on the 30th one that has come down, and that has been Stefan, to you, to our team, and certainly to the police and what we've all had to go through. It's been amazing. And I want to really remark on the beaches when they were partially closed. We had extra police officers that were out there looking and making sure people were safe. We were doing things that had not been done before, and we were certainly relying on and could rely on the police department and our employees that stepped up, and they continue to just be those dedicated employees, our dedicated police. I can't say enough about the police and our lifeguards today that are right there on the front lines right now. And the riptides and the currents, have been pretty bad, and we know that. But all of us know that this is an ongoing and will be ongoing for a while, for, who knows how long. I'd like to say that we just, on this past Monday night, you can go back to me, we just, on this last past Monday night, were able to pass ordinance 2020-02. And I want you to know, this is one where people can volunteer to actually help out citizens here in Neptune Beach, help them out in many different ways. We're lucky, through all of COVID, we're lucky to have had Bean. We're lucky to have had great employees that continue to pay and make sure that they took care of their employees. But a lot of people are still suffering, and here in Neptune Beach, we definitely are seeing that. And with some of the figures that I showed you, you can see that as well. Maria, how am I doing? I'm about to close now, so. Yeah, well, we will continue to evaluate and implement ways to help residents as we navigate through our recovery from COVID-19, which is the city's recovery. Internally, we view the pandemic as an opportunity to improve the way that the city communicates with residents, with certainly our businesses, and refine the way that we deliver services to people living and people visiting our community. I want to thank you, and I'm going to stick around. Maria, I'm finished now, but I'm going to stick around for any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. That was perfect. You were right on time, which does give me just a few seconds before Mayor Ellen Glasser comes on. Just to remind our audience to please, if you have any questions, use the chat box. I'm monitoring that now, and we'll have the Q&A after Mayor Glasser's presentation. So, Mayor Glasser, are you ready?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Okay, hold on one second. As I said, as I've told our other mayors, when you get down to about a minute, we'll come back on video to let you know that it's time to wrap it up, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And
Thanks, Maria.
You're on. Okay.
So our deputy city manager is going to be sharing a screen, so I'll just get started while he's doing that. So it's great to join Beaches Watch again for a Zoom meeting. It's always nice to be a part of the efforts of Beaches Watch. Thank you so much. And also, it's an honor to join my fellow beach mayors, Charlie Latham and Elaine Brown. Mayor Brown spoke a lot about the response that her city had to COVID-19. The other beach cities did largely the same thing, so I'll try to fill in the gaps, but I do want to just take a moment to congratulate Mayor Latham on a very distinguished career so far in public service, and he's been our lion in Tallahassee, and he also has been a great resource during this recent crisis that we've gone through. So, and then one more shout out, and that I don't know if I just want to recognize board member Kevin Brown. I don't know if he's on the line or not, for ending his teaching career and coaching career and mentoring career at Fletcher during a school shutdown. So we honor you and thank you for your service. So just a quick thing on the legislative update. I will say that last year and this year we were successful in getting monies submitted in the budget to do some infrastructure work in our aquatic gardens area, which has seen flooding in the past. I'm not super optimistic that it'll be approved by the governor, but you know, we have our people working really hard in Tallahassee just to help us with some of those unmet needs that we have in Atlantic Beach. So, all right, thanks, Kevin. So let's go to the next slide, talking about the COVID-19 response. One thing that I'm proud of in Atlantic Beach is the messaging that we did, starting before the state of emergency was declared, just to sort of let people know what was coming, how they might prepare. And throughout the crisis, using Facebook, our website, we did a number of different public service announcements, messages to people, business walks, and then as things started to evolve, we started to convene Zoom meetings with our business community to ask them if they needed anything and to be of service to them. So managing the state of emergencies, this of course was unprecedented. It really is emergency federalism, where you activate state and local governments to do all they can, but the national government can step in. I think, you know, toward the, as we started to reopen, people started to question the authority of having these, having this authority. I think I felt pretty solid about that, as did I think Mayor Curry and my fellow beach mayors, because our actions were in the public welfare, and everything that we did with public safety in mind and with very little information on the front end. We probably wouldn't do things exactly the same way if we had to ramp up again, just because we know so much more about the virus and who it's attacking. But it has been an unprecedented use of authority and state of emergencies. And so Atlantic Beach remains under a state of emergency. We've had a number of emergency orders, just like Neptune Beach, just like Jax Beach. And throughout the process, it's the adage that Mayor Latham coined about 3 beaches, 1 community. I feel very close to the other beach mayors, and for every major decision that was made, we would have conference calls, we would get our city managers involved, we would ask our chiefs of police, you know, give us the best guidance you can. And then Mayor Curry would listen to what we had to say. Again, no rule book. I mean, closing the beach was a monumental decision, and we weren't going to please everybody with the decisions that we made to close, to open with restrictions, to open with hours, and then to open just with social distancing. It was kind of a moving target. So people would be happy one day, and then the next day they'd be wondering, well, when are you going to open this, or when are you going to open that? We tried very hard to do our decision-making in an incremental way. So when the state of emergencies were declared, we closed our city hall, we didn't have in-person meetings, we closed our public facilities, we stopped giving permits, we did restrict some public parking to try to suppress people from coming to the beach. And we tried to do this in conjunction with the other beach cities. So if a tennis court was closed here, it would be closed in Jax Beach. just so there was some consistency. There's a lot to be said for having a unified position. And so usually when the mayors would get together and talk, if we weren't quite in agreement, we would say, okay, well, let's take this up next week, so that we would be closer to being unified. And when people would reach out to me about the beach, I would say, and this was true, we are evaluating this on a daily basis, because we wanted the beaches open as much as everyone else, but we also didn't want to have a repeat of what we saw in St. Johns County, with this flood of people that had nowhere else to go showing up and sort of becoming a national story. So I give credit to our city manager in Atlantic Beach for doing a lot with personnel policies, making sure our workforce stayed safe, setting up our virtual meetings. I don't think I'm violating any privacy here by saying none of our employees tested positive. We tried to protect groups of employees so that if one person got sick and others had to quarantine, we would have another group of employees who could be deployed to provide essential services. And then we also knew that if we had a bigger problem than that the other beach cities in Jacksonville would help us out if need be. So there was a lot of solace in knowing that we were a team. As far as the timeline, I will say that we have been monitoring sort of the data at the beaches and throughout Duval County and in the state for the entire time, keeping a really laser focus on sort of where the number of positive cases was going at the beach. And I will say that, you know, our positive cases, the number of positive cases has remained relatively small and relatively flat if you look at sort of the grand scheme of things. So when the decision was made to start to reopen the beaches, it was based on looking at flat trends. It was based on whether hospitals were at capacity, and it was based on what we were learning about sort of how the virus was being transmitted. So obviously we know that vulnerable populations are at much greater risk than others. But again, we're still learning. So Kevin, let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so some of the things that we tried to do with our messaging were, and we're still sort of trying to put out the messaging of should you be wearing a face mask. I think it's unfortunate. I think that wearing face masks has been a little politicized, and so it looks like we may have lost the screen. Oh, no, Kevin's going to show just a little snippet of one of our PSAs. This is our Chief of Police, Vic Walilo. So this is what we tried to impart when we were concerned about people walking through our accesses. So I'll show you 20 seconds.
Whenever you can't safely social distance.
Oh no, go back.
That's it.
Okay, well, anyway, you get the drift. So we tried to do things that would draw people in and watch these videos. So when we had a lot of bikes on Beach Avenue, we did a little PSA on trying to find other bike routes. So providing other ways and other places for people to ride their bikes. And so we did the same thing with face masks. We did the same thing with social distancing. And we did it with beach restrictions. But we thought those were fairly effective. All right, thanks, Kevin. Next one. Okay, so some of the challenges. It's very difficult to meet the community's needs as a whole. Again, our concern was about public safety. And we got lots of questions on a daily basis about, well, you know, my daughter works in a beauty salon, or, you know, my mother is 86, or an employee that had an elderly parent. How are we going to deal with those? So we really worked through each of them on an individual basis. We did see a disparate impact on our local businesses. So for those with food licenses and that could set up a takeout type of business, those businesses did pretty well. Bars, not so much, because they really could not adapt. And so that was a really uneven impact on local businesses. For example, so Joe's Pizza in Atlantic Beach did a great business, but the American Legion couldn't do anything. And it just didn't seem like it was equitable as I sort of look back on it. So other local impacts that we saw, obviously, were the isolation of a lot of our residents, students being at home, sports being canceled. It was just really, it has been very difficult on our population. So the next one is access to testing. We've gotten a lot of questions about that. Quite frankly, at the beaches, we haven't sort of hit the priority list for testing at the beaches because our numbers have been relatively low, but Mayor Brown's been working on that, and I think we're close to having some more accessible testing at the beach. I'll just go on. We had other things with, again, I mentioned questioning the authority that we had to do what we did. We feel comfortable with that. I think history will be the judge of it, and I'm sure a lot of lawyers will file lawsuits about it, but ultimately our actions were really done with public safety in mind and public welfare. So let's see. Oh, I'm just going to drop on down to fiscal impact. I don't have a detailed slide like Mayor Brown, but we have been looking at models of what the impact is going to be to our city. So we're looking at, you know, sort of a 25% model, a 50% model, a 75% model. So looking conservatively, we think that we may have a deficit of basically 1 month of our operating expenses in our general fund. And that's about $1 million, $1.4 million. We have a very hefty reserve in Atlantic Beach. And we feel, plus our tax base is going up additionally this year. And we feel very confident that we are going to be able to recover, but we are examining that on a daily basis, and the commission's going to be taking a look at this in the next week. So I'll just sort of close this. This slide closes with just the word tension. And, you know, there is tension out there, and, you know, you don't have to go far to see how that tension sort of shows itself. I mean, the mayors and I had an engagement right before we came here at the Rhoda L. Martin Cultural Heritage Center, where we had a prayer vigil to unite as a community in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd. And so the tensions that the COVID-19 crisis created, and then add to that this kind of a national issue with a bad police officer's actions. And then now we have hurricane season coming up. We have a lot of things that we're facing right now that have kept us in crisis mode. So we want to be cognizant of that when we deal with our residents and understand that we need to do all we can to help them. So next slide, Kevin.
Mayor, you've got about 10 seconds.
Okay, so let's just move on to the next slide. Just want to say we had a lot of opportunities in Atlantic Beach, a lot of things that we did with, and go on to the next one, Kevin. Opportunities that we used to help our community, to support businesses, to do our green market at City Hall, feed our seniors, work with Beam and help pay utility bills, support our high school seniors, and do an employee appreciation lunch, which we did last week. So it's my honor to serve as the mayor in Atlantic Beach, and I hope I was able to fill in some of the gaps, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Glasser. Thank you to all of our mayors, Mayor Glasser, Mayor Brown, and Mayor Latham. We actually only had one question, and which would go to Mayor Latham, and it's about the pier. And the question was, when will it be done? Who will run it? Is the construction being done now? Did I lose?
He's muted.
No, sorry. This high-tech stuff is getting me still.
I know, me too.
Rory Diamond on the call?
I did not see him.
Here it is in a nutshell. We're still looking at probably 1.5 to 2 years. But I can tell you that it's my intention. I tried to work this out with Bill Gulliford before he left, and I'll be passing along to my successor a recommendation that Jacksonville Beach take over the operation of the pier, but not the ownership of the pier.
Okay.
And I can also tell you that we've been working exhaustingly for quite some time now to put together a beautification plan for our downtown, and the pier is included in that. So once this pier is concluded, we're going to use our money to build an entrance to the pier that'll rival some of the famous piers in California.
Maria, could I make a comment?
Yes.
This is Mayor Brown.
Yes, Mayor Brown, please.
Thank you so much. I know you only have a couple more minutes, and I just wanted to comment on the what Mayor Glasser brought up with the testing. All of our beach mayors and managers and a lot of people have been asking, can we have testing at the beach? Will there ever be any? And we've been working on it a long time. I'll be honest with you, since this started practically, all of us have been talking and seeing if we can't get some testing out here. Problem has been anything from swabs to personnel, the cost of doing it. But I have been assured by Mayor Curry that he is going to have testing out here at the beaches. I talked to him today. The only update that I can give you, and it's not specific, but it is that they ran into some bureaucracy with the vendor in signing the contract, but that it is still, they're still planning to have it come out to the beach, which I think is a good thing. And Mayor Glasser, you and I have talked about this several times, and Mayor Latham, all of you have chimed in with Mayor Curry, as I have, to just see what we could do. Even talking to the hospitals, I was begging the hospitals for it at one time, but I think we're very close to it. And if you don't mind, Maria, I'm going to say one happy thing. I have to say a happy thing. Neptune Beach is actually looking at a movie night, and we are going to have 2 screens instead of 1, so that we can really have great social distancing. But we're looking at E.T. as a movie, and it'll be, hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll look at the 20th of June, and you'll be hearing more about that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, on behalf of Beaches Watch, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate all that you, as our leaders, have done to protect our citizens, protect our quality of life, doing the best job that you can given the circumstances in this unprecedented time, and working with Mayor Curry and his team as well. I know the decisions you guys have had to make have not been easy decisions at all, but we know as residents that it's been for the best for our community. And I think I can say this on behalf of Beaches Watch. We really appreciate all of your hard work. It's I would not want to be in your shoes at this time as elected officials, but everyone from the mayor all the way down to your whole team and city staff has just been phenomenal. So thank you very much. Mayor Latham, I can't express how much we've appreciated your leadership throughout the years. Still, I'm not thinking that you're not going to be here, but I know you're counting down the days, but thank you so much for your service as well. And thank you, was it Mayor Glasser who gave the shout out for our board member, Kevin Brown, who has been phenomenal as a leader for our student Fletcher. He will continue to be that leader. He will continue to be a leader with Beaches Watch. So we're looking forward to him being able to spend more time in that capacity. But we don't have any more questions. So I will make my final announcement. So yes.
Can I just say one thing real quick, Maria? Yeah, my colleagues weren't here, both of them, I don't believe, when I started. And I just wanted to kind of reiterate, we've all been through hurricanes. We can almost do them with our eyes closed now, but this pandemic was a real learning experience. And it was a tremendous honor to be working with Mayor Glasser and Mayor Brown. Mayor Curry was more available than I've ever seen him before. We talked probably more than 5 times a week ever since this all began. So I'm really proud to be part of a great team and honored to serve with such great leaders. So I just wanted to pass that along as well. Thanks.
Thank you. So our closing announcements, we have 2 minutes, so we'll end on time. Please, for those who are in attendance, we would love for you to just hang in for just a few seconds. Please take our short survey, our meeting survey at the end of this meeting. It takes like 2 seconds. And then, watch the recorded meeting on our website. Follow us on Facebook. And, please, email us, let us know any suggestions. We appreciate the support during these strange times, and we look forward to Zooming with you next month, July. We'll have the police office, the chief of police officers from each of the beaches giving us their updates, and look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.